If you have had hand and wrist pain, you've probably started looking at different keyboards for your computer to try to address the ergonomic issues that might be plaguing you. You may have seen something like the Logitech Ergo K860. This is a little split keyboard, slight split. It's got a curved shape here, so your hands kind of go into this position instead of being perfectly flat and pronated when you're typing on a normal keyboard. It's not a huge departure from normal, like the weirdness and departure from normal that you would get with a Kinesis Freestyle 2. This one I got has 20 inches of separation, and it is corded, as you can tell. It's got wrist rests and little tenting mechanisms to help find that right tilt for you. If you want to get really weird, the Kinesis Advantage 2. This has a nice, good, solid split between, so your hands can be apart, your arms and shoulders can be open, your chest is open. But oh my goodness, if you've ever looked at one of these things, the key layout, it is weird, and it takes a lot of getting used to. And to be fair, I haven't gotten used to it after 3 or 4 days of trying to use this thing. I've even remapped some things so that I have 2 space bars, because this one has a space bar here by default, and then backspace is here. And that's so confusing for me because I'm used to using both thumbs to hit the space bar. So I just made that one small change, and I made delete backspace. Other than that, this is the standard Mac layout. And what we're gonna do today is a typing test. I'm gonna do a bunch of typing tests with these keyboards and see which one I can get the highest speed on and also maintain some accuracy. And after we see these typing tests, I'm gonna talk about some of the comfort things that I've found with these different keyboards. Okay, so now I'm just gonna use the laptop keyboard. So that's just a standard keyboard that everyone's got. So start the test. I haven't typed on this in a while. Alrighty, 84 words per minute with 99% accuracy. Obviously you can see that growing up with a normal keyboard, standard keyboard, my fingers are definitely more used to that. Okay, so this is a test with the Logitech keyboard. Ergonomic, slight split, wrist pad, 1 minute typing test. Here we go. All right, so 81 words per minute with 97% accuracy. The Logitech and this one are reasonably close. I think on a better day with warmer hands, I can probably get about the same. I'm pretty fast on this, I feel like. So I'm gonna do one more test with a different keyboard. This Kinesis is the full split. See how it goes. Whoops. I got 96 words per minute with 99% accuracy using the Kinesis Freestyle. I do feel it is comfortable to be more spread. Again, that feels more anatomically correct for me than the Logitech, which keeps me more narrow. Let's see how I do with the crazy Kinesis. Oof. 40 words per minute with 95% accuracy. So it's a pretty dramatic drop. So it's pretty clear from these typing tests that the Logitech and the Kinesis Freestyle are the ones that seem to be the most easy for me to type with. I'm able to type at pretty normal speeds with these keyboards because the layouts are basically what most keyboards are like. So Mac keyboards look pretty much like this. There's no funny positioning, no changed spots for very common keys. So by muscle memory, I'm able to type quickly and there's no problem. From a comfort perspective, however, I think there are some things to pay attention to. The first is that with the Logitech Ergo, the split is not really that big. So if you are a larger human being, larger than me, which If you are not me, you probably are. I'm only 5'7", which I think is something like 2.5 meters plus 7 centimeters. And for me, the split just doesn't quite feel very natural. I like the curve. It lets my hand go a little more into supination, which is much more comfortable than a standard keyboard. But I still feel like I haven't found the exact right position to get my elbows to actually feel like it's just nice and natural and easy. That being said, I don't know if it's even possible to find the exact perfect angle every single time for every single body. And I also don't really believe that locking your body into one specific position is gonna just mean you always feel good, because a static sedentary body that's always locked in one place is literally a dead body. So when muscles are not being used and challenged to go to different positions, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to find that perfect, always comfortable position. That being said, I think having the Kinesis Freestyle does give me a lot of good options for finding the right position. So I can spread this thing real far apart, I can put it together, I can tent differently, so I can change things up, which I really, really like. That's why I actually have recommended these keyboards for a long time to people with shoulder and hand and wrist issues. And it's also why I used this keyboard for many, many, many years consistently. I like using this keyboard. The thing is, I have found it challenging sometimes to have this spacebar be so small. So you can see the spacebar is split, right? So you have access to the spacebar on both hands, but what I have found is the way my hand sits on here is hitting that spacebar. I actually feel like it's kind of cramps. And so I kind of wish that spacebar were longer. It would just make the whole thing look probably silly and bizarre, but that tight little spacebar actually seems to sometimes bother my thumb. And so I need to do like extra thumb stretching to just keep that more comfortable. I gotta like stretch it back, I gotta stretch it open, just trying to make sure my thumb doesn't get locked into this closed, more closed into the palm position. Okay, so that's something that I don't like. And I have noticed recently in my testing, when I went back to the Freestyle 2 and was typing after I had been typing with the Advantage 2 and after I'd been typing with the Logitech Ergo, I noticed that for whatever reason, the position that I had with the Kinesis Freestyle, it just really made my wrists really tired. Now, that might be a good thing because maybe my wrist muscles have been getting weak and atrophied from using one of these other keyboards, I don't know. But I do generally like this because the layout is normal, because there's all the options, and because it means that if I'm without this keyboard, like I just bring my laptop, I still know how to type like a normal person on a normal keyboard. Which brings me to the Kinesis Advantage 2. I do find that this keyboard is very comfortable. I think the layout of keys is very sensible. I think the placement of the spacebar makes a lot of sense. The placement of the backspace and delete also make a lot of sense once you get used to them. The command keys, control keys, all those things all make a lot of sense. What I don't like about this keyboard is the home row doesn't have a little notch for my index fingers. So I touch type, and I assume if you're going to use a keyboard like this, you also type by touch, but the home row just has like slight indentations that tell you you're on the home row, but it's really not a dramatic indentation or a marking that you would normally have on any other keyboard. Like if you look at the Logitech Ergo, the J, that index finger has a little dash, a little mark, a little thing you can always feel with your index finger, so you know, okay, I'm back on the home row. But when you look at the Advantage 2, you can see there's nothing. There's no notch there. There's just like a little slight angle on the face of that key, and that's super annoying, and that's why I often feel lost on this keyboard. Now, I assume that if I kept using this keyboard for weeks and weeks and weeks, I would get really used to it. I've seen comments on the YouTube community on my channel where people have said like, oh yeah, it's gonna take you like 2 weeks to get used to. The thing is, I don't know if I really want to invest 2 weeks into learning this whole new keyboard layout when I could just use another keyboard. Like if I can use the Kinesis Freestyle, that seems like an easy option, because once I start getting used to typing with the Kinesis Advantage and always having my command key here, my enter, my delete backspace, if I ever get used to that, I will be very confused switching back to my laptop keyboard. It's like I'd have to change languages, okay? And as I'm learning with this keyboard, it is such a struggle to figure out where certain keys are. Like one thing I haven't figured out yet is when I switch on the number lock so that I can use the keypad that's kind of hidden here, I can't figure out where 0 is. Like I turn on the number lock on a normal keyboard, here's your 0, right? You got da-da-da-da-da-da, you're punching in numbers on your spreadsheets or whatever, and you can, I also touch type because there's that little notch here, you can touch type and da-da-da-da, I punch in 0, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great, that's easy. I have no idea, and maybe if you can help me with this, tell me where that 0 is. I'm not generally a particularly dense or dumb person, but I am very bad visually at finding things in the refrigerator. So maybe that's coming into play here. I don't know. Oh my God, I actually found where the 0 is while I was filming B-roll of all these keyboards. I found it. It is right here under the space. It is the space button. And there's that little 0. It's right there. I found it. My goodness. Comfort-wise though, I think the Advantage 2 is very comfortable. I do like the layout. I do like the curved design to the keys. It does feel strange though, and I find myself constantly hitting the wrong key. Often the V and the B get all gibbered up. Trying to hit the semicolon or the apostrophe is often a challenge for me. Going up and down, any of the N and M, all of those get really funky. And then navigating the cursor, like if you're trying to go to the beginning of the line, end of line, I just don't have the muscle memory for the new key configurations. And also the arrow keys, right? These are your arrow keys up and down. Here's your side arrow keys right here. And so what's nice is those are easily reachable. If you're on the home row, you can just move a finger down. You don't have to like search around the rest of the keyboard for them, but you just have to get used to that placement. And I am really struggling to get used to that placement and be productive. From the tests, you can see that my speed and accuracy suffer a lot when I'm on the Advantage 2. I really need more time to get used to it, and I'm just not sure if I want to put that time in. If you're somebody who's gotten used to the Advantage 2, I'd be curious to know what your experience was like and what your experience is like switching back and forth if you ever do switch. All right, let's talk about some recommendations and how you might make decisions here. In general, I would say if you are having shoulder issues, hand or wrist issues, forearm, elbow issues, and you feel those things getting worse while you're typing, I would strongly suggest you get some kind of ergonomic keyboard. They will cost you more money than a regular standard keyboard, but in my experience, in my opinion, is that they definitely feel better and they help your body feel better when you're typing for long periods of time. If you want to just sort of dip your toe into things, I would suggest getting the Logitech Ergo. This is not that weird. It's very easy to get used to. It just looks like a normal keyboard. It's just shaped a little bit different, and it has a little bit extra splay so that you can open up your chest a little bit more. But I don't know if it's the best. It's not going to give you a ton of customizability because it's just one piece of plastic that's curved, okay? Now, if you want more customizability and you want to try to find your own personal sweet spot, I do still really think the Freestyle from Kinesis is a good option. I'm probably going to be switching back to the Freestyle here to just see how things go with my thumbs and just overall wrist strength and mobility. One thing I would mention is that the Freestyle comes in a 9-inch split configuration and also this 20-inch. So the 20-inch is pretty crazy, and I don't think most people need quite this much spread. But if you are a bigger, taller person, or you just know that you're not happy with just having that 8 or 9 inches of spread, then okay, get that 20-inch crazy spread with your Kinesis. Also, if you want to have the ability to lift and tilt and whatever, then you got to get the VIP3 tenting kit or whatever it's called, and that helps you get some different settings and different positions. You can even take this piece off and then you could have the keyboard lie totally flat, which I don't know why you would want to do if we are trying to make things a little less stressful when you type. Those two keyboards will cost you around $120 at the time I'm filming this. I think the Kinesis is actually a little more expensive when you add in the VIP kit. So say $120 to $150. If you're already gasping for air, you're not gonna like what I have to say about the Advantage 2. The Advantage 2 is over $300 and it is a commitment. And if you are somebody who works nonstop at the computer, typing all the time, like you're a software engineer, you're a programmer, you are a data entry specialist, you are somebody who is just typing all the time, and you want to have something that allows you to hit all the keys without having to move your hands anywhere, then I think the Advantage 2 might actually be worth it for you. The key layout is super logical and everything is within reach, so you're never moving your hand and arm over here or there to try to find whatever function key. You have access to everything you want just right there within an easy finger's reach. The caveat here is you need to be committed to learning how to use this thing. It is going to feel very clumsy and unnatural for at least a couple weeks while you get used to the layout. I guess if you're somebody who's really mentally flexible and physically flexible, you could do it faster, but I can't imagine just starting to type on this thing and not making some serious typing mistakes and slowing down a lot when you're transitioning from a different keyboard. That said, I have seen people comment about this keyboard and say it's a lifesaver. It gives them a whole new lease on their typing life, saves their careers. So if you're somebody who really is locked in on a keyboard all the time and these other options just don't seem like they do it for you, or you just want to go whole hog into the most logical, crazy looking keyboard you can get, then this is a pretty good option. And one really helpful thing about this keyboard that I haven't really explicitly mentioned is you can remap keys to put things in different positions where you want them. So you can, for example, change what this backspace button does. I changed this backspace button to be an extra space button. So then I can hit the space bar on both sides, and then I move the backspace function over to the delete button, and everything was a-okay. This keyboard also comes with the keys needed to do a Windows or Mac layout, and there's just a little tool you can use to pop a key off and put the right keys on. So when this first arrived, it had the Windows function keys on here, and I just had to pull those off using the little tool and then pop the Windows keys on in the right spot, and that was all very simple, and it was in the instruction packet. So with all that said, I'm curious to know, what do you think of these keyboards? Have you used one of these? What was your experience like? Drop a comment down below. And if you're going to buy one of these keyboards, I might have an affiliate link down in the description box. I'd appreciate it if you use it, and I'd even more appreciate that you drop a comment and let me know how you got along with that keyboard. Share your experience so everybody else who watches this video can see which keyboard might work better for them. One final thing I want to add is that it is very important to do strength and flexibility work for your wrists to make sure they stay comfortable despite long hours of typing. I have found that I can tolerate all kinds of keyboards and use really standard narrow keyboards or these wider keyboards only if I continue to do exercises that keep the muscles in my forearms and wrists strong and supple. If I allow these muscles to atrophy from just sitting there and typing, I will end up feeling really loose and unstable in my wrists, my hands and fingers, and everything will start to feel bad. There's a strong belief that the aches and pains you get from typing are from overuse, but what I found in my life is typing doesn't really fatigue or overwork muscles. It's very light work. It's very repetitive. And what I've seen visually is that the muscles in my forearms actually atrophy the more I type. It's very important to keep those muscles strong, by pumping blood into them by doing exercises on a regular basis. When I was in college, my hands and wrists used to ache after typing, and now as a 40-something-year-old parent, I can type for long periods of time, and I can maintain comfort and strength and function by doing wrist exercises on a regular basis. So if you haven't already started doing wrist exercises to keep your wrists and hands healthy, I strongly encourage you to check out this video here. If you want to support this channel, use the links you'll find in the description box or the join and thanks buttons on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe with the bell notification on, and as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks, life shouldn't.